Have you ever wondered why some people seems to make right financial decision effortlessly, while others seems to struggle, no matter how much they earn? I used to feel stuck in that struggle until I discovered a book that completely transformed my approach towards money. So today I'll be sharing 9 lessons from the book called Psychology Money by Morgan Housel. It has insights that have reshaped my financial life and it could do same for you. So stick around to learn how you can apply these powerful concepts to building a lasting wealth and financial freedom. Hey there, I'm Malika Jain, a working mom with a background in architecture, urban planning, and MBA, who's passionate about personal finances and living the life with financial freedom. So let's dive in for the key lessons right away. One of the most eye-opening concepts from the Psychology Money is the power of compounding. It's something we have all heard about, but the way Morgan Housel breaks it down makes it real and very achievable. Compounding is just like snowball effect. It starts small but grows over the time. So the earlier you start, the more powerful it becomes. When I first moved here in Canada, I was juggling so many financial priorities that saving or investing seems like a distant dream. But then I realized even small, consistent contributions can grow into something substantially over the time. For example, Warren Buffett's wealth, that is 90% of it, came after he turned 65, thanks to compounding. That's the magic of starting early and letting the time work in your favor. I started very small by setting aside just $50 a month into simple index fund. It didn't feel like much at that point of time, but I just keep doing it. And over in 5 years, that small amount grew around $3,000 with average 9% of annual return, and it can depend a lot on market conditions. I also make use of my workplace retirement accounts, contributing just enough to get the employer match. It's another form of compounding that many people overlook. These contributions have grown into a safety net for my family, something I never imagined when I first started. The lesson here is very simple. Start small, be consistent, and trust the process. It's not about how much you can invest today, it's about building the habit and allowing time to magnify your efforts. Seeing the benefits of compounding made me realize that building wealth isn't just about numbers, it's deeply tied to our mindset and emotions. So this brings me to our next key lesson, managing emotions around money. Morgan Housel writes, your financial success isn't just a result of how smart you are, it's about how you behave. This hit home for me because early on I felt very overwhelmed and panicky about the financial decisions. See, we often think that wealth is about making the right investment or earning a high income, but the truth is our emotions play a very crucial role in our financial decision. For example, I remember the anxiety I felt when the market dipped during the early days of pandemic. With so much uncertainty around it, it was so hard not to panic. The instinct was to pull out investment and protect what little I had saved was very strong. I spent sleepless nights worrying about whether I was doing the right thing by staying invested. But I remember the Housel's lessons. Emotions can be our worst enemy when it comes to money. So instead of giving into fear, I made a conscious decision to stay on the course. I reminded myself that reacting impulsively could do more harm than the good in the long run. So I kept my investment intact, focusing only on my long-term goals instead of short-term turmoil. And the decision kind of paid off as the market eventually recovered. Managing emotions around money is more than just controlling impulses. It's about understanding that most important financial asset you have is your own behavior. So by learning to navigate my emotion and stay focused on the bigger picture, I have been able to make more rational and thoughtful decisions that align with my long-term financial goals, even in the face of uncertainty. As I learn to manage my emotion and stay focused on the long-term goals, I also realize that life is full of unexpected twists and turns. This brings us to the next lesson, the importance of flexibility. Morgan Housel highlights a crucial point. A plan is only useful if it can survive the reality, and a future filled with unknown is everyone's reality. This quote resonated with me because if there's one thing I've learned moving continents, starting from scratch, and becoming a new mom, that life is really goes according to plan. So when I first set foot in Canada, I had very clear financial goals that I would save specific amount every month, I'll invest regularly, I'll stick to the strict budget. But then life happened, COVID happened, and unexpected expenses cropped up. My career path took unexpected turns, and of course, the financial demands of raising a child came into play eventually. So sticking rigidly to my original plan wasn't realistic, and it could have easily led into frustration or even failure. So the key lesson here is the importance of being adaptable and ready to adjust your plans when needed. Flexibility doesn't mean abandoning your original goals. It means recognizing when circumstances have changed and being willing to pivot. For example, when the markets became volatile during pandemic, I adjusted my contribution based on what was feasible at that time. And when unexpected expenses arose, I reassessed my budget and made necessary changes to keep things on track without derailing my long-term goals. Housel emphasizes that being financially unbreakable requires flexibility, not just planning. So this idea has helped me tremendously in staying resilient through life's ups and downs, not only the finances. And by embracing the flexibility, I've learned to navigate the uncertainties of life without compromising on my overall financial stabilities. Embracing flexibility made me realize that not everything is within our control, which leads to our next lesson, the role of luck and risk. Morgan Housel writes that luck and risk are siblings. This quote perfectly captures the balance we often overlook in financial lives. We tend to focus on success story, attributing them solely on the hard work and smart decisions, but truth is, luck and risk play significant roles in every outcome, both good and bad. A great example of this is the story of investor Peter Lynch, who managed the Fidelity Magellan Fund from 1977 to 1990. Lynch is known for achieving an average annual return of 29% during his tenure, making the fund one of the best performing mutual funds in the world. However, even Lynch acknowledged that luck played a significant role in his success. He happened to take over the fund during a period of unprecedented market growth and economic expansion, which certainly helped boost his performance. Lynch himself has said, in the stock market, you get good breaks and the bad breaks, but you must remember that sometimes you are just plain lucky. When I reflect on my own journey, it's clear that luck has played a part too. Moving to a new country, I found opportunities that I might not have encountered if I stayed where I was. For example, I was fortunate to land a job in a growing industry at the right time. This opportunity allowed me to build a solid financial foundation very early on. But with those opportunities came risks. Uncertainties about job security and financial stability, and even the cultural adjustment took me a lot of time. I took a risk by investing in the real estate market here, and while it paid off, I'm aware that timing was a huge factor, something I couldn't have predicted. Housel shares that powerful insight. The line between the bold and reckless can be thin. This means that while it's important to take risks, especially the calculated ones that align with your goals, it's equally important to recognize when luck has played part in your success. By acknowledging the role of luck, I've learned to stay humble and cautious, avoiding the trap of overconfidence. Understanding the interplay of luck and risk has helped me to make more informed decisions, knowing that not everything is within my control. It also reminded me to be very grateful for the good fortune that came my way and to prepare as best as I can for any risk that life inevitably brings. Saving may not always be fun, but it's the root of all wealth, which brings me to the next lesson, the value of frugality. Morgan Housel makes a really good point in his book when he says that the only way to get wealthy is to stay wealthy. It's a simple idea, but really drives home when frugality is so important, not just for building wealth, but for keeping it. And let's be clear, frugality doesn't mean living a life with the constant sacrifices. It's about being smart and intentional with your money. Think about Ronald Reed. He was a janitor and gas station attendant who quietly saved up to $8 million by the time he passed away. He wasn't a high roller or tech mogul. He just lived modestly, saved consistently, and invested in solid, reliable stock. His wealth came from decades of steady, frugal living, not just lucky break. In my own life, being frugal has been a game changer, especially when I moved to a new country and started a family. For example, instead of buying a new car, I decided to rent one only when I really needed. These kind of small, thoughtful choices helped me to save more, giving me the chance to invest in things that could grow with time. Housel also talk about how saving is the gap between your ego and your income. That really hit home for me because it's not about cutting corners, it's about living within your means and thinking long term. So by being frugal, I have been able to build a safety net that gives me peace of mind, knowing that I can handle whatever life throws at me. At the end of the day, frugality is what keeps your finances stable and stress-free. It's not about how much you make, but how much you keep and invest wisely. Adopting a frugal mindset has allowed me to build a solid foundation for lasting financial freedom. Let's move to another critical lesson in the book, The Danger of Envy. Envy is one of the emotions that can sneak up on you, especially in the age of social media, where it seems like everyone is living their best of life. Housel puts it perfectly. No one is impressed with your position as much as you are. This was a wake-up call for me because it made me realize how easy it is to get caught up in trying to keep up with others, even if it doesn't align with your own values or goals. A great real-life example of this is the story of Rajat Gupta, former CEO of McKinsey & Company. Gupta had an impressive career, immense wealth, but he wasn't content. Despite his success, he got involved in insider training to try and earn even more, leading to his downfall. Gupta's case shows how envy and the desire to keep up with the ultra-wealthy around him led him to take disastrous decisions, ultimately costing him his career, reputation, and now the freedom. In my own life, I've seen how this desire to keep up can lead to poor financial choices. So when I first moved to Canada, I was focused on building a stable life, but it was hard not to feel envious seeing around the splurge, the luxury items and vacations everyone is putting on the social media. I remember almost buying an expensive handbag just to feel like I was on the par with my peers, but I realized this wouldn't bring me happiness and would just add to my financial stress later on. Furthermore, Housel talks about how the only way to be truly wealthy is to be content with the less than you could afford. This really stuck with me. It reminded me that true wealth isn't about having the most. It is all about being satisfied with what you have and making decisions that are right for you, not based on what others are doing. So I start focusing on what really matters to me. That is my financial security, providing for my family, and creating a life that brings me joy and peace, not just acquiring random luxuries. Once I let go of the need to compete with others, I found that I could only focus on my financial goals and make decision which is actually aligning with my values and long-term visions. So letting go of envy and focus only on my financial goals has been liberating. But there is another lesson from the book that is just as important: the value of financial independence. Housel makes a really powerful point when he says that independence more than anything else is the ultimate goal of financial success. And he's right. Financial independence is just about having a big bank account. It's about freedom to make choices that aligns with your life and your values. So when I first moved to a new country, I was completely focused on setting the basics. That is getting a job, saving up for a place to live, and figuring out how to navigate life in a new country. The idea of financial independence felt really far off. I was just trying to get by the day. But as I started getting more stabilized, I realized that independence wasn't just about having enough money to cover my expenses. It was all about creating a freedom to make decisions that were right for me and my family. For example, there came a point when I had to choose between pursuing a high-paying job that demanding long hours or sticking with a role that allowed me to spend more time with my child. I chose the latter because for me, being present for those early years was more valuable than any paycheck. That decision was direct result of striving for financial independence, not just in terms of money, but in terms of time and control over my life. Housel also talks about how true wealth is about controlling your time. It's about being able to say no when something doesn't fit with what you want in your life. I've experienced this firsthand. Instead of feeling pressure to chase every opportunity just for the money, I focused on building a financial cushion that gave me the flexibility to live on my own terms. So when we talk about financial independence, we are not just talking about a number in your bank account. We are talking about the freedom to make decisions that reflect what's truly matter to you. That's what makes financial independence such a powerful goal to work towards. It's about creating a life that's rich in the ways that matter most to you. While striving for financial independence has been a game changer, there's another crucial lesson that has deeply influenced my approach towards money, one that's all about understanding what really matters in life. Let's dive into that. Hauser points out, you can be wrong half of the time and still makes a fortune. This quote highlights an often overlooked aspect of financial success: humility. In a world that often values confidence and certainty, Hauser reminds that acknowledging what we don't know can be just as powerful as we do know. One of the most striking examples of this is how even the most successful investors such as Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater Associates, emphasizes that importance of being open to new information and perspectives. Dalio has built his career on the principle that no one has all the answers. In my own journey, embracing humility has been crucial. When I first started investing, I thought I needed to have all the answers to predict the markets, to understand the trends, to make right decision every time. But over time, I learned that it's okay to be uncertain, and more importantly, it's okay to seek advice and learn from others, and it's okay to admit when you make some mistakes. Hauser also suggests that keeping enough room for error is a vital part of any financial plan. This means not betting everything on a single decision, but rather being prepared for the things to go differently than expected. By building in a margin of safety, whether it's in your budget, your investment, or your career, you create a cushion that allows you to weather the unexpected without derailing your long-term goals. So the lesson here is clear. Embrace humility in your financial journey and even your life. Understand that you don't need to have all the answers and that being open to learning and adapting is a strength, not a weakness. So by staying humble, you not only protect yourself from unnecessary risks, but you also position yourself to grow and succeed over time. Embracing humility has allowed me to navigate the complexity of finances with clear and more grounded perspective. And as I reflect on these lessons, one more truth stood out. The real value of wealth is often what you don't see. Hauser makes a compelling point in his book when he says, wealth is what you don't see. This idea really shifted my perspective on what it means to be wealthy. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with images of luxury cars, designer clothes, and lavish vacations, it's easy to equate wealth with visible signs of success. But Hauser argues that true wealth is the money you don't spend, the financial security you build, and the investment you quietly grow, and the peace of mind that comes from knowing that you're prepared for the future. A fascinating statistic to consider is that 40% of Americans couldn't cover any unexpected $400 expense without going in debt. This shows how many people are living paycheck to paycheck, often prioritizing visible displays of wealth over the true financial security. It's a stark reminder that real wealth isn't about showing off, it's about what you keep and how you manage it. In my own life, this lesson has been really important. When I move to a new country, it means that I need to use some resources very strategically. So instead of focusing on what I could show, like buying a car immediately or upgrading to the latest gadgets like iPhone, I focused on building an emergency fund and investing in my retirement and making sure I had financial cushion for unexpected turns. These were the things that no one could see, but they brought me so much peace right now and made me so financially stable. So thanks for joining me today on this journey through some of the most powerful insight from the psychology of money. This book has truly reshaped how I approach not just my finances, but my life as a whole. Remember, financial success isn't about how much you have, but how you manage what you have and the mindset you bring to your financial decisions. So if you found the value in today's video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on more content like this. And I'd love to hear from you. What financial lessons have made the biggest impact on your life? Drop a comment below and let's keep the conversation going. See you in the next video.